Alright guys, Rollit here and welcome to my tutorial on panning. First of all, panning, I would just like to clarify, is one of the main things that you're going to need to do in mixing. You know, it basically, if you don't know what panning is, I'll just give you a quick explanation. Panning, if you pan an instrument to the right, the sound will play more to the right side of the speaker, and if you pan it to the left, obviously it'll play to the left side of the speaker. Why is this important? This is important because every instrument and every sound that you use needs a specific place in headphones or speakers, just so everything's not clashing together. And what I've got here today is one of my projects. I had panned it, I did pan it, but for the sake of this video I have unpanned everything just to show you the process I use in panning. And let's just get right into it. So first of all, I'll let you hear the track without panning. I'm just going to play a couple bars for you. Okay, so it's missing panning. That's it. It sounds alright, but if you're going to be mixing it and you want it to sound more professional, you have to pan the instruments. You have to make sure everything has its own area in the mix, and make sure everything's not clashing, or two instruments in the same instruments or melodies in the same frequency range aren't getting pushed together. So I'm just going to show you how I pan, and I'll play the track over, and you'll start to hear everything having its own place as I pan. This is what you can do with your project, but just keep in mind that you don't always need to pan. It's not essential, but panning certain instruments will obviously help you out in the long run when you're mixing. So I'll play it and I'll pan as I play it, to show you how I do it personally. Now you'll notice up in this corner here, as you're panning, it will give you a percentage. A good way to keep track of where an instrument is panned is just by looking at the percentage and making sure everything's maybe 5% to the right, 5% to the left, 10% to the right, 10% to the left, and you can keep doing that for everything to give it its own area in the mix. So with the kick, I was panning it to the right, but I've decided I want the kick in the middle of the mix, so it's hitting, you know, between both of the speakers kinda. What I am going to pan is the 808 and the where is it? The 808 and the sub bass. Now both of them are in the same frequency range, so I want to make sure one's not overlapping the other, and I'll show you just how I do that now. As you can see, I've panned bass to the right by 30% and the sub bass to the left by 30%. Yeah, that's correct. And now for instrumentation. Well, no, let's do melodies and all that stuff, like the pluck and the chords. So the chords I'm wanting to spread out by maybe 20%, and I'll do that just now. Okay, so now the chords are separated a bit, gives them a bit more room to breathe, gives them a space of their own. And the pluck, I already know where the pluck is. I'm just going to pan that maybe 5% to the right, I think, or 10% to the right. Let's put it 10% to the right, so it's got its own area. you're hopefully now you're starting to get the idea of what panning is, how it works in mixing. I am quickly going to pan the others, and I'll let you hear what it sounds like. You'll be able to listen to it, but you'll be able to get a good idea of everything in its own lane, basically. Now, a rule of thumb that I usually use is if it's a small instrument, it's not that important, you can pan it over 40%. Keep things that are, you know, quite important, just pan them below 40%. So don't make them all the way to the right or all the way to the left. And the reason you do that is because you don't want one sound completely in the right. That's just, especially if it's important, because as a track it needs to have its own space, sure, but if you pan it completely at one side and, you know, someone isn't getting the melody, if they've maybe got one speaker lower or something, it can mess with the overall thing. So as a rule of thumb that I use is, like I said, don't pan a main instrument or a main melody or something completely to one side. I've put this chord, another chord layer, I've panned that 40% to the left because it's further away from the other two, and those are already panned, so they've all got their own space. I'll just see if there's anything else needing panned, and if there is, I'll show you and I'll talk about it and how I did it. Apologies. This instrument here is a cymbal. Now I can pan this over 50%, which I'm going to do. This was a good test piece. Let's put it to 50%, and you'll be able to hear it more prominently. And where this would usually get lost in the mix if it's not panned correctly, now you'll be able to hear it over all the instruments, or it'll have its own space instead of just being drowned out by everything else clashing from where it is. And I'll let you hear now. You're looking for the cymbal here, so just listen for the cymbal and you'll hear how it's panned. I'll solo it and let you hear again. Oh, that's the wrong cymbal. That's my fault. I apologize, I meant to pan, sorry, this one 50%, not the other one. So reset that. If you want to know how to reset, just right click and reset button is here. That works for panning. You know, reset, fine. But we wanted that one 40% so we could hear it on its own through the mix. I'll solo that, you'll hear it 40% to the left, or the right, sorry. I've got my headphones on backwards, it's my fault. But you can hear it has its own separate part in the mix, which is what you're looking for. That's what you're aiming to do. Now, stereo separation also comes into this. However, that's a topic for another video, which I will be doing. And that pretty much sums up panning. I hope you understand. If there's any other questions, you know, feel free to ask. I'll reply as soon as I can. And thank you for watching. If we can aim for maybe 10 likes on this video, that'd be great. I know it's not much, but I am I've not been on YouTube very long, and this channel is very new. So every little bit helps basically. So thank you again for watching, guys. I'll definitely be doing more, and like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one.